what started my journey into liking microphones and reviewing microphones, what led to me adopting this hobby, and what led to me making it my job. First thing I want to say, this is not my job. This is not my main source of income. I still have a 9-to-5 job that I work because I don't trust YouTube. I don't trust Google. I don't trust Amazon. I don't trust Patreon. I don't trust any of these platforms to be reliable enough to make them my primary source of income. I don't trust it. I'm too risk averse for that. So I still work 2,000 hours a year at a normal 9-to-5 job. I put numbers in Excel because I know that's the inevitable follow-up question. I won't tell anybody any more than that because it's not important. I put numbers in Excel. That's my day job. With that being said, let's explore my microphone journey. It all started in high school, not out of desire to be a recording engineer or anything, but out of necessity. Recording studios are very, very expensive. When you're in high school, you likely don't have a lot of income, so you have a very limited budget when it comes to recording. So the solution that we came up with was little tape recorders with the built-in microphone, or a cheap Radio Shack dynamic microphone plugged into the motherboard of a Windows PC, recording into Windows audio recorder. That's what started it all. That's where it all began. And I'll tell you what, it sounded like we were running a cheap Radio Shack dynamic into the motherboard of a PC. Sounded about as good as you would expect. Whenever we did want to get a proper recording, we would work for months and save up to get some studio time, or there were some recording schools nearby that they needed bands to record for their finals. We would go in and let them record us, and we would perform poorly, but they would get experience recording it. We would get a very amateur-sounding recording out of it, but it was a lot better than a microphone running into a motherboard. And it was all on analog gear. Recording to tape is so cool, but so difficult. Very, very difficult. You're not getting punch-ins. One take it, son of a gun. Then in college, it was the exact same story, having very minimal income, so recording demos ourselves out of necessity with cheap microphones. I think at this point I had a Behringer USB mixer, which I didn't know how to use properly. I think I had an SM57 or an SM58 at this point, and I used that on my YouTube channel. I recorded a cover of Emily from First to Last. I re-uploaded that on one of my channels. I can't remember which one. It sounds terrible. Do you want to know why? I had a ground loop issue, and I ran DI from this acoustic guitar instead of miking it up like an idiot. Because at the time, this is all just me learning. I had no idea what I was doing. I was figuring it out. I'm still figuring it out, but thank goodness I'm a lot better than I was. But it was just goofing around using the gear that we have to record demos, to songwrite, and then whenever we want a proper recording, pay to go to a studio, save up for months and months, and then go to a studio. Then at some point I had an MXL Producer USB mic. That's a microphone that came out in maybe 2007, 2008. But it sounded like a USB microphone. It had that underlying digital RFI sound, that constant, terrible sound that you get, just like when you plug a microphone directly into a motherboard's microphone input. Sounds terrible. Eventually, I did upgrade and got an MXL 990 and 991 kit. I had an M-Audio M-Box, whatever the Pro Tools interface was, because I bought a Pro Tools kit there. Then I entered some songwriting competition. There used to be a lot of these songwriting online competition sites. I won an SM57 and a Blue Icicle for a songwriting competition, and I used that for a while. Then I sold the 990, 991 because I was broke and I needed money. I needed monies. Give me monies, please. I kept the 57, though, because I actually think I still have it right here. Where are you? SM57? This is an SM57 that I won for songwriting. Or maybe it was a remix. A remix or songwriting. How cool is that? It's a decade old. And I was such a good songwriter or remixer that I won a microphone and a blue icicle. Anyway, I sold the 990, 991, kept the SM57, really just focused on electronic music, so I didn't need microphones because I wasn't recording vocals or anything. It was just all digital and software synths. And years later, I got into podcasting, and I wanted to podcast with my friends. And I made the mistake that everybody made. I bought the microphones that I knew, which happened to be the MXL 990. So I got a couple of condenser microphones. It sounded terrible. Luckily, this podcast didn't last because I drank way too much, and I would drink whenever we recorded, and it would just go off the rails. So that did not last. Then I ended up selling those 990 microphones because they did not work. The podcast didn't last, like I mentioned, and I didn't record podcasts for a while. I got really into YouTube again, and I wanted to start making videos because I had made videos from 2005 to around 2009, and then I stopped because I was focusing on school stuff. And then around 2013, got really into YouTube again. The channel that did it for me was Tested, and I wanted to start making YouTube videos again. And the microphone I ended up buying for that was an SM58, because I did know they were incredibly durable. I had used them for years on stage, singing into them, yelling into them, telling people to quit fighting in the crowd through them. I got the 58 and started making very bad YouTube videos for a couple of years, trying to figure out video and how do you do all this? Syncing microphone audio with video, oh, that's such a headache. And now I just do it. It's really simple to do, but back then I hated the idea of it. But the day where it really kicked off for me, where I really started to go deep into it, was the 2nd of January 2015. That's the day that I quit drinking, and I didn't have any friends who didn't drink, so I needed to scream into the ether and get crap off of my chest. I think I was doing 2 or 3 episodes per week, just me yelling, just working through crap. Probably shouldn't have published it anywhere because it wasn't listenable, but I was using the SM58. Then at the time, my roommate, he ran a recording studio. He let me borrow an SM7B. And then after, I think it was 50 episodes, I ended up falling in love with the SM7B and buying it. And all around this time, I was trying to find videos that gave me the information that I wanted. And that information seems very obvious. Test the microphone you're reviewing. I couldn't find videos like that. So in May of 2015, I was asked by my company that I work for to move to a new city. I moved to a new city. I didn't know anyone here. I didn't drink. I had a little bit of extra money to spend. And I figured, hey, I have a very basic understanding of recording. Why don't I try to fill that niche? Why don't I try to provide people the information that I want but cannot find? So that's what it started with. And if you watch my early videos, you will see that I was not reviewing expensive microphones because I was broke as heck. I couldn't afford anything. It was a very difficult financial thing for me to do. And there were multiple times where I was thinking, I'm just going to quit. I can't afford to keep doing this. And that was reviewing NW700s and cheap $30 microphones. When I did the AT2020, I thought, oh my gosh, this is the most expensive microphone ever. Even though I had a $350 microphone, but this was a microphone that I bought to use solely for making a video. And I thought that was ridiculous. Now looking back, I wish all the mics that I reviewed cost $100. That would be nice. But that's really the journey. Out of necessity, I learned how to do it poorly, but I learned how to do it. And then out of wanting to create content, I tried to research microphones, couldn't find information that I wanted, so I decided to make the content with the information that I thought was useful. And hopefully that's something that a lot of people can learn from. Just make the content that you want to see, because if you don't want to watch your content, why would anybody else want to watch your content? You need to make the content that you want to see first. And then if it's good enough, other people will want to watch it as well. and also take feedback from people. And I don't know if there's anything to learn about quitting drinking. For me, that was a life-changing moment. It was really difficult. It was really difficult. I still don't have a social life because of it, but that was one of the, if not the most difficult things I've ever had to do, because you're giving up your social life. Also, whatever dependency, if you want, I'm not going to go down that road, but you give up a lot when you give up drinking. But I would say that ultimately it was one of the most difficult, but also one of the greatest things that I did. One of the best decisions I made, because after that, got a promotion at work, moved to a new city, started a YouTube channel, and here I am. Because I have no social life. I don't know anyone here. So you could say, yeah, he's just a workaholic now, but it is what it is.
Hello, Bandrew of the Bandrew Says podcast. It is I again with another question. And I just want to ask you a more personal question this time on what started your journey and your liking of microphones, and what made you start it as a hobby, and now, coincidentally, your job. For me, I think this thing that actually sparked my hobby, sparked like my liking of microphones, is a friend lending me his, I think it was a BM700, and just me recording by myself and actually liking how I sound through that microphone when recording. Because all of like the microphones I've owned before are either just like from headsets and one of those like desk mics. Wait, I still have it actually here. This is like one of like my first microphones that I actually used back when I was like in high school, and yeah, I still keep it around for some reason. If I feel like, you know, oh, I look at this thing. It's long. It's Mika microphone. Hello. So yeah, I just kind of want to know what was your experience and like what started you in this journey, this microphone loving journey, reviewing journey. And also, just a side note, I'm using a different microphone now. This is the Behringer XM8500. I don't know if you can actually see it from like how I set it up now. I actually repurposed a BM800 shock mount, just so even if it's like I'm tapping something or like I'm very noisy on my desk sometimes, it doesn't get to pick it up. It's better than what it came in the box, at least. And thank you for answering this question when you do get to it.
Amir, that is a great question. Thank you very much for the voice submission.